They believed there was one that was everything at the same time. And we're not in that mind state anymore. We're looking for somebody to come save us. But how it's supposed to be, we given everything that we need to save ourselves when we're born.
Say that.
The divine is within.
Right. And naturally. But in our society now, it's like we taught to be stupid. It's like we taught to be everything that we not. And I think that's what our problem is, why we can't come together, because we educated to be stupid. And most people just fall for it. Like most people now don't even want to think for themselves. Like they don't even ask questions. I used to ask questions. I remember the first day I ever went to school. When I first walked into school, I think it was pre-K, when you see all the white presidents on the wall. Anybody went to school when they had all that? I asked, I said, who are these people? And why I don't see nobody that look like me?
That's right.
And from the first day I went to school, the teacher didn't have an answer. And then I started couldn't trust adults. Then my mother took me to church. I started hearing these stories about David and Goliath and people walking on water and all that. I wanted to know how come I couldn't see that now. I wanted to see a giant. And nobody had the answer to me. So I'm like, are these people lying to me? So I started asking myself questions. So I kind of got like pushed, you know, you just want to cause trouble. Like you just, But I always know my own mind, you know what I'm saying? So I always went for what I think. Like nobody couldn't tell me anything until I figured it out for myself. Like you could point me in the right direction, but I gotta walk the path myself. And that's where I started going and seeing for myself. Like I didn't know what it was gonna be like my first time going to Africa, even though I felt it was gonna be good. It was a chance I could have been disappointed, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. And I'll go back anytime. I think I want to die there.
When was that first one?
I went to Liberia.
Monrovia.
Yeah. And I felt that way with them. Like the people treated me nice, but that was mainly, I went with like a religious group.
Mission.
And I kind of felt like I was like a devil agent. Like I couldn't say what I wanted to say to the people because I didn't believe in the Christianity like they did. Yeah. They wanted me to give like a sermon. And I did. But I never mentioned Jesus. You know, how I spoke to them, I kind of spoke to them in a way that the people that I was with wouldn't get offended. And then I could get my point across a little bit. That was my first time. And then I went back. I went to Ethiopia, to the Omo Valley. To like, I seen the people of those tribes living how they live. And the only thing about that is they being exploited now too. And they exploit people also. Like you can't take a picture with them unless you give them money, which I understand. But it's like actually an African custom to bring money, like when you go meet people and stuff like that. Like I had to get used to that. And I'm used to just like, I'm here. I want to take a picture. I want to go back and show everybody. But no, they like, no, give me money. Even in Egypt, it was like that. With the Arabs.
Yeah.
Like they the worst, biggest people on the planet. Like it was so bad. Like it's so many people will just come up and beg you for money and won't leave you alone. Like you have to get mad at them. Like, and they speak every language.
Really?
Yeah.
You take beautiful photographs. The Ethiopian photographs. I mean,
Thank
everywhere you go, of course, you the photographer. And I know from Ghana, but the Ethiopian that you post on Facebook, all over Africa, you just like,
thank you.
Oh my God, that's I know. Yeah, I like.
Yeah, I like to feel it.
Beautiful.
But yeah, they like beg for money too much. It like makes part of your trip bad until you go down to the south and you see the black people that look just like you. This guy welcomed us into his house. He had alligators in there. We pet the alligator, like pet alligator, smoking a hookah pipe. His wife fixes some food and everything.
He's vaping.
What's that?
He's vaping. They call it here in the States vaping.
Vaping?
Yeah.
Oh, alright.
No, that's a unique experience. How does that experience in Liberia and Egypt compare to your experience there in Ghana last times?
In Ghana, when I got to Ghana the first time, like she said, when we came out of the plane, it just felt like that's where I was supposed to be. It's hard to say exactly how I felt in words. It's just like, that's where I'm supposed to be. Like, I'm here. And then how the people started treating me. You know, like, my brother, welcome. You know, I had several people take their shirt off and give it right to me. Just because I asked them. And then when I started talking to them, you know, it's like I bonded.
What do you think that spiritual feeling that you experience in Ghana? I've heard most people say that. What do you attribute that to?
Being home.
Is that what it is?
Our DNA, we come from our mother. We got belly button. Who come from her mother. who got a belly button, who come from her mother, who come from her mother. And we all start in Africa. We never lose that connection. We may lose it mentally, but once you go back, if you're a spiritual person, you got that same connection. Like even when I was in Egypt, you feel the ancestors like they still there. Like you never die. Some people stay around to help us out. They here to help us out, like right now. Yeah, and that's our culture. We so much in the European mind state that we call that voodoo.
So why Ghana more than other African countries?
Well, I wouldn't even say more than other, but Ghana is a place that it's a lot of Western influence, but then again, it's a lot that's still African.
What language basically speaking?
What's that, tree?
Tree.
Yeah.
But
It's a lot that's
But the
still...
question you're asking about, I wanted to say something about it because it's an excellent question. I think for me, in relationship where Ghana is a bit more unique, are those passages of the door of no return. When like when you go to Ghana, they have it in Senegal, in Goree Island. They have it in Sudan as well. They have other gateways where we came across, but in Cape Coast and Elmina, in the Atlantic Ocean, when we look across there, you got those. It's like the majority of well, I can't say the majority. Many of us came to the Americas, South Central, and all of them from that port.
That was the point.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The door of no return. That door of no return, and then the door of return. Once we go through, we come back. I've been really kind of looking at that particular, just that one. Yeah, you can go to others, but I'm still kind of taking in that one. You know, after you go back, you kind of like, okay.
You talking about Cape Coast and Elmina?
I'm talking about the door of no return in that Atlantic Ocean that we came across. Yeah. And so, and dispersed in so many other places, like, no kidding. And so even though some people say we may not come through there, but every time I go back there, it's just like, I want to keep going back in case the ancestors want to give me a little bit more. Yeah, because I have really wonderful experiences there. Wonderful. Now, not saying that it's always like easy, emotionally or whatever, but I found the first time it's a little bit whatever, like the first time. But even in that first time, it wasn't my first time. It was not my first time.
Deja vu.
It isn't. But like a lot of times, what happens, it depends on, life is consciousness. It's different in different states of consciousness. Everybody, all souls, are traveling, whatever. But for me, I was just like glad to be back there to deal with some things for me. And then once I got back home, I could kind of marinate and kind of reflect and grow from that. And then it kind of like, it's not like a bad thing. It's just,
it's not,
It's just something to be reconciled.
The first time when I went in, like I couldn't take it. I knew what happened there, and it's like dark, and like I couldn't breathe, and I turned around and came right back out. But before I got out, the ancestors' spirit's still inside there. They said, no, go back. And that was 2012 when your friend, I still listen to that, watch that video. Let it out, let it out, let it out.
Oh yeah, come on. Yeah.
I wanted to share that.
Yeah, that was so emotional.
Oh, that was deep. Yeah.
I wanted to share another experience that I had in Ghana when I was there. And what I learned is that slavery started over a year before we even got to the coast. They marched us hundreds and hundreds of miles from the inside of Africa.
Yeah,
With
that's right.
chains and everything. Sure. So we marched and we went to, remember the Queen's
Yes.
Sass? We went to the last bath.
Yes.
And the last bath is 100 miles from the coast.
Yeah, slave last man.
So slavery started like over a year, 2 years before we even got on the boats.
What is it?
For real.
So it's like if you they have 500 people, by the time they get to the coast, there's only 80 left.
That's
The
where they
last
took them
bath.
to bathe them before they shipped them.
Eggs.
To clean them up so they can
To
sell
clean
them.
them up so they could sell them.
Before you were bathed?
Well, after you bathe, you still
To
got
get
a
to-
100 miles
yeah.
walk to get to the
Is that
coast.
Yeah, to that door of
And that-
no
that-
So
return.
you were totally dehumanized.
Most of the people died.
Exactly. Over a year before, a lot of us
they
died.
took their own lives.
And we was in chains and we had to walk and we
Yeah.
walked through different villages. And the last bath now, it was where a river came and split into two.
Yes, yes.
The heavier part of the river, that was for the Africans that wasn't in chains. That was the Africans who stayed there in Africa. But they had a last stream, a stream that turned off. And that's where they bathed our ancestors. All of us who came here through the Ma'afa went through the last bath. If we came through that path that we traveled when we went to Ghana. And we got our last bath. But we was walking for 100 miles before that. And that's why they had to wash us up. And we kind of got a little good treatment there because if they didn't feed us, we wouldn't have made it the next 100 miles.
Yeah, yeah.
That wouldn't work for them.
And that's
Right.
another thing that why I make our situation now so perplexing, because the people that actually wound up here were the strongest,
Exactly.
mentally
Cream
and
of the crop.
physically.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah, come on now.
That's right.
They were the
Yeah.
strongest people. And you got the strongest people from Africa mixed with the dirt and scum of
Survivors.
Europe.
And that's something.
And they see that. So they had to dehumanize us.
Right.
And they've been doing a good job like ever since. Like that's the part of us that I think we trapped in. It's like we don't see ourselves as human beings. We see ourselves as something that a European wrote on a piece of paper and made up, and we act that out. That's the majority of us.
Especially
And
through
that's the path we
the
follow.
strongest.
Especially
Spiritually.
We are, that is.
But in order for me to control you, I control your spirit.
Right.
I give you Jesus.
You're right.
Yeah.
You got the strong spirit, but you got the strong spirit for Jesus. Jesus is not going to help Africa
That's right.
at all.
And the Africans
Period.
say,
And even when you go to Ghana, that's all you're going to see.
they say, where was God
Jesus,
now?
Jesus,
Where was
Jesus,
Jesus
Jesus.
now?
Yeah.
In the dungeons, where was Jesus? In the dungeons, where was God? They said, where was God?
Right.
Where was God then?
That's the part we have to accept.
Where was God then? That was like, wow. You know how you get a question that just kind of shake you at the very core of your being? That was one for me on that first trip. I heard some sisters, Africans, where was God then? Where was God? Because see, you're in the Dutch Reformed Church, you understand? You're in the
Yeah, it was
church.
a church right in the middle
The
of the
slave castles,
yeah.
they're dungeons.
They started the programming like right
It
there.
looked like a castle, but be clear, it's a dungeon. Okay, I had to make that plain. Doing a lot of things of that.
You also got to make
Well,
it plain
actually,
that the dungeons
they had the castle
dungeons-
upstairs
Exactly.
and the dungeons downstairs because
Yeah.
they told us the story when the master was upstairs
Right.
in his quarters and he was looking through his little thing at the women in the dungeons and the ones that he wanted to have favors with.
Right, right.
He would send for them and be raping them upstairs while the rest of
Dungeons.
them are downstairs suffering. And then the
Raping
ones who didn't concede. So
the
that's why
women,
they had the castle piece.
the
But we were
children,
in addition
down
to
and
that.
the men.
In
They were
addition-
raping the men.
Yeah,
They raped the
everybody.
boys. That's what the whole
Yeah.
homosexual thing come from now. That started from them.
yeah.
They were raping the
Yeah,
men.
sodomizing.
And we
Say
as
it.
men, like now, we have to explore that part of our history. Like that's where that all started. Like it was no homosexuality in Africa because we spiritual people. To be a homosexual, this is just my take on it. That makes you unspiritual because that makes you not who you were born to be. That's a mental thing. You choose who you have sex with. You can have sex with a rabbit. What would that make you? Disgusting.
Sick.
But I'm just saying, but that's your choice.
That will make you love the rabbit a lot.
But I'm just saying, it's a choice. People say that
I
it's
love my
born
rabbit so
that way.
much.
A man could be born and not have sex ever. He's not going to die.
As I tell people, you're not gonna die if you don't.
You know what I'm saying? And how sex is portrayed to us here in America, oh, you gotta have
You're
it.
gonna-
But not for the reason why God gave it to us. It's all
Procreate.
about pleasure now.
Instead of
So you can have
procreation.
pleasure with anything. You have pleasure with your hands. You can have pleasure with a baseball bat. I mean, where is it going to stop? The whole homosexual thing now is so they can make it fine, so they can have sex with them boys again from the start.
Come on.
That's just me. Because most gay people that you talk to, they say they became gay when they was little because somebody molested them.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. That's
And that's where I think the whole homosexual thing going, and they putting black people out in the forefront. Because no matter what they say, they follow us. If a black man says it's okay, then it's okay for them to do it. And that's why Obama said it was okay. And that's why more and more and more and more. Bush didn't approve homosexual gay marriage and none of that. Nobody did. Obama did. Look where it went from when Obama approved it less than a month after he was in office to where it is like right now, just 8 years later. Where is it going to be 8 years from now? What's the age limit going to be? Is it going to be okay for a 65-year-old to marry a 15-year-old? Yeah, it will be. But that's a disgusting society. That's why killings and everything, it's like we bums. I don't even know what the word to say about it. Like we infantile in our thinking. Everyone here in America.
Not everyone.
Well, I just generalize. Of course, there's individuals. But
You said
when the
we live by
majority,
osmosis?
how the majority moves, that's how the country is moving.
But we still retain our spiritual essence.
That
Yes,
never leaves
yeah.
you. That never leaves
Yeah.
you.
It's just
Even in
us.
church.
It's
You
just
go to
us.
church, you go to a Baptist church, you see the drums. That's all
Yeah.
African.
Yeah.
Clapping.
It's
The
just
first
us
drum.
reconnecting.
The first drum was clapping.
Yeah.
Before they invented the drum, the women used to keep the beat and the
Yeah.
timing by clapping. That's why even in church now you see them clapping and stuff like that. They don't even know why they do that.
Yeah,
That's like,
I was in the Gullah area a couple of years ago, and they do it with the skit.
yeah, but it's there.
Right,
The beat.
Right, the beat. They maintain that same African tradition,
Yeah.
and that transfers
Yeah.
those emotions.
And that's how they
feelings,
communicated. Even with the
spirituality.
rock gong.
Right.
They used to have a gong. That's the first cell phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's still rock gongs all around Africa, where they would hit the gong and you could hear it from miles and miles away.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's how they send messages and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So one of the things I found out when you mentioned about the dungeons and so on, the Catholic Church was on the male dungeon, on top, right above the male dungeon, and the Protestant Church was above the female dungeon. And what happened is that with what they was talking about, Pepe was talking about, where the person, the governor for that territory, would look out and pick up an African woman to molest. What happened is that before they went through that tunnel, the last tunnel, what was at the castle, was at the dungeons, and we seen once you go down that tunnel there, that's it. There's no return. What they used to do is that any woman that they seen pregnant, they would release out right there in that community, and that community ended up having a lot of Africans that were light-skinned Africans in that area right there.
And that's even another myth about the door of no return. Some warriors return. Yeah, so we all just, didn't lay down. Some people fought and they made it back to their village.
That's the part that I really like to speak on, because for some reason we put a lot of attention on the Africans who did not acquiesce.
Right.
We fought at every
Right.
turn. Oh yeah, we don't do the research enough and haven't raised it up to the level where most of us can get it ongoingly. I know, but it's being uncovered, and we uprise,
Right.
we uprise, and
Right.
so
Just
many
like we do
women.
today.
Yeah,
We
you feel
still
it because
uprise.
it's like, yeah. See, but it's on another level. It's not a physical uprising. It's an uprising of awareness, consciousness, spirit. The evolution is like the Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's even like I was talking to Carmel. We were talking about the full moon. Like we're inside of this really full moon energy yesterday and now, and even Prince, his ascension into that realm of ancestral, and angelic, and cosmic, and that which our bodies cannot hold. Yeah. And so as spiritual divine beings, as souls, for me, what I look at and what I'm looking at now is an awakening of those of us who remember. It's really the transformation happens, I think, for me, between forgetting and remembering. And in certain environments, just by mere showing up. Oh yeah, I remember things that I remember that I was not. It wasn't in this body that I learned what I remembered. Feel me? So certainly when I was in India in 1988 for a few months, oh boy, there were some downloads that came through me, and everybody on my course was Transcendental Meditation.